Asking right now for the public, please don't come out and rubberneck. We are having lots of traffic issues. We're trying to get assets in to help these people gain some semblance back of their lives. And with everybody coming in, it's creating problems. We're still in a search and rescue. We have had no missing persons, but we're getting to areas that may not have had electricity and may not have had access to a cell phone when the damage started. So we would like to please keep the public away. They are going to be turned away if they get into certain areas, which is the Coke and Glenroy subdivisions. Also, we are looking at continue to restrict these areas for at least the next 24 hours. We may impose a curfew later tonight in certain areas of the county to make sure that people don't go in to prevent anybody else from creating more problems for these people. As far as damage assessment, we don't really have a lot of that yet. I can tell you from what I observed, there are quite a bit of homes that have just been totally destroyed. They're off foundations into piles and rubbles. There are a lot of houses that have superficial damage as well as not livable due to those type damages. Tremendous numbers of trees down, power lines that are going to leave several areas of our county in the dark for quite some time. We can't give an estimate. That would be more for Dominion Virginia Power. Again, we are trying to work the best we can to resolve everybody's concerns. We have Red Cross out here. We have lots of volunteers helping. For those that would wish to volunteer, we love the fact that you wish to help us, and that's part of what makes this community so special. However, we're having too many people volunteer right now. And so we're going to try to just check with y'all, get some names and numbers. I think as time goes on, some of these people that will have financial issues at their homes will need y'all to come back and help after we make sure these homes are secure. They're not a chance of them falling in further, or they're not still running hot with electricity. So again, we appreciate all of that. I think we're going to have a couple meetings today with volunteers. But right now, the public support has just been wonderful, but we're kind of about as maxed out with all the volunteers we got right now. So thank you very much for that. Any questions so far?
Is it still 3 people confirmed dead?
As far as we know, 3 people confirmed dead. Yes, sir.
And families who need help tonight, or even a warm meal, there is a church that's going to offer some, some dinners. Lady
be able to respond to that just with emergency services.
Bellamy Church is open, and Salvation Army and Red Cross and other volunteer organizations are at the church as a coordination center for any families that need help or assistance.
And I know another major concern is Page Middle School and kind of assessing the damage there.
That would be Dr. Kaiser. We've been working with them. We're going to continue to provide the security down there. Fire and Rescue, I think, has gone through there and made sure that they've secured as best they can, but Dr. Kaiser can address more. He's the superintendent of schools. Dr. Kaiser.
Good afternoon. Before I make a comment regarding Page Middle School, I would certainly, excuse me, Shirley.
I'm sorry.
I would certainly like to express my appreciation to all of our emergency personnel, our local law enforcement, our state law enforcement. They've responded tremendously to this situation, and they've been very helpful in securing our Page Middle School site and working with staff and many others who are part of this response. I would also like to thank our churches. I've had several neighboring school divisions that have stepped up and offered assistance by way of transportation, by way of staffing, by way of even facilities. And so the outpouring of that generosity is just real heartening, but that's who Gloucester is, as Sheriff Gentry has said. And as I made a comment earlier, we're a resilient people. We're strong, our families are strong, our children are strong, and we're going to respond appropriately. However, regarding Page's services, we have about 580 students at Page Middle School, and I will assure the families and the parents that our educational services are going to continue between now and the end of the school year. It's going to take us a day or two to resolve how we're going to do that logistically. But staff and I met this morning, and I believe we have a plan that makes sense under the circumstances and will create the least disruption necessary to get us through the end of this school year. I've not had a chance to share those ideas with my school board, and I'm hopeful that maybe by tomorrow morning I can release the plan as to how we're going to respond in providing services. But I will say today that we have made a decision to close all of our schools tomorrow. That needs to be done in order for the families and children who have suffered from this event to respond from a personal standpoint, but it also gives my staff and I a chance to iron out the details that we need to between now and then be able to communicate to our families. But I will use our alert system to communicate to our families and our staff and our students as we make decisions, and I'm anxious to keep the community informed as we go forward.
Dr. Kaiser, are the schools, the rest of the schools in Gloucester County, is there enough room to handle the 600 students? I mean, are these students that can be spread out to school? I know you can't really go into specifics, but are they going to have to go to other schools and, I mean, just be spread out throughout the community?
Well, one of the assessments that we wanted to do this morning after the damage that has occurred in the county, we wanted to make sure that the other 8 schools were in good shape and operational and can accommodate our children, and as of now I believe they are. So Page Middle School is the only school out of the 9 that's been damaged. What you've suggested is a scenario that staff and I have considered. There are probably 4 or 5 other ways that we believe we can accommodate the 580 children, and again, I'll be able to release that tomorrow.
The teachers are going to follow the students, I would imagine. I mean, this is a pretty big mix.
Well, it's always helpful if the teachers who have worked with these children can follow those children. It's helpful if we can keep those children together for the remainder of the year. So again, there are several ways that we can approach this. Some are going to be more disruptive than others, and I believe we'll have a good plan considering the circumstances once we release it.
Thank you.
Sheriff?
Yes.
How much longer until we find out the identities of the victims, and were the victims all in the same home, or were they spread out?
No, they were several, or 2 in one neighborhood and 1 further down the road. We'll probably be announcing that later after we make sure all of next of kin have been properly notified.
Do we know the genders of the victims?
We'll be letting you know all that once we have all that information for the next of kin. Any other questions? I would like to again thank our community, thank our volunteers, fire and rescue, both Abington and Gloucester. The guys men and women that work for the Sheriff's Office and the State Police for all the assistance that couldn't be done without. And this is definitely a community action pulling together to make things happen, and we ought to be very thankful for this community. And thank you all for coming today.
Thank you very much, Sheriff.